Hi there, I'm Sabermetrics, and welcome to the second video of this short series on how to play Cardfight Vanguard. In this video, we'll be going over the basics of deck building and the requirements necessary to assemble a deck. If you haven't watched part 1 of the series yet, check out my channel for the previous episode where I talk about all the numbers and symbols and what they mean on the card, so you get a better understanding of the game before you move on to episode 2. So here we go, time to build the deck. A Vanguard deck will always consist of 50 cards. No more, no less. This is a very strict requirement, as running any different number of cards at an official tournament where a deck list is required will likely lead to a game loss or possible disqualification. Within the 50 card limit, you may only use up to 4 copies of any given card. Cards with alternate arts or rarities but with the same names are still considered the same card, so the same rules apply. Even cards with different text boxes, but the same names, are still considered the same card, like in this case. This promotional Blaster Blade does not have an effect box or a skill, unlike the standard version of Blaster Blade that you can get through trial decks or booster sets. It is however still considered as the same card, so running the promotional card would be a disadvantage for you. Another limitation in deck building is the number of triggers you can run. Out of the 50 cards you have, 16 of those must be triggers. The same 4 card limit applies to triggers as well. However, different triggers with the same trigger effect are available, so running more than 4 triggers of a particular type, like critical triggers, is possible, as long as they're different cards, like in this case. The one exception to this is the heal trigger. As seen on every heal trigger's effect box, heal triggers may only be run at a max of 4 per deck, even if they have different names. Trigger ratios often dictate the pace of the game, so choose wisely, as some decks prefer certain triggers over others. Aside from that, you are free to run any proportion of grade numbers in the deck, but as with any card game, certain ratios will more often than not lead to more consistency and playability of the deck. Keeping in mind the 16 triggers already reserved, most decks will run anywhere between 13 to 15 grade 1s. And out of these grade 1s, most decks will run 3 to 4 of these cards, which are called null or perfect guards. They are essential to building a good deck, and due to this, will probably be one of the more expensive cards in the deck. Perfect guards have a shield amount of 0, which may be confusing at first. But the effect of a perfect guard overrides this, as any perfect guard can block any single attack, no matter how high the attack power is, at the cost of discarding just 1 card. As powerful as this is, perfect guards are once again limited to just 4 per deck, and have the limitation of them only having 6,000 power, which is considered moderately low for a grade 1. Grade 2s normally take up 9 to 12 slots, while grade 3s take up the least, ranging from 7 to 9 copies per deck. The type of deck you want to play will more often than not be dictated by your selection of which grade 3s to run. Most decks will be built to assist or support your best grade 3, so choosing your grade 3 first before building the rest of the deck will be ideal. Grade 0s are more often limited to just the triggers that you run, as all triggers are grade 0s. However, you'll likely have one additional non-trigger grade 0 in the deck to use as your starting Vanguard. Your starting Vanguard is a card that you take out before the game starts, and is used to basically level up every turn. So choosing your starting Vanguard is essential to the type of deck you run, with most starters having some ability to give you an additional card advantage through drawing or searching of extra cards. An ideal deck would look similar to something like this. Standard ratios will lead to the stability of the deck, and running the maximum number of essential cards, such as your key grade 3s, will be extremely beneficial in drawing consistent hands. Also, as stated in the last episode, running cards of the same clan is highly recommended to allow for many clan-based effects to activate. So, with all that information stuffed into your head, you're probably wondering where you should even start. Well, if you'd like to try the game out, your best option would be to pick up a trial deck, which is essentially the structure decks of Yu-Gi-Oh! Trial decks will contain grade ratios similar to what you've just seen, though you'll likely only receive 1 to 2 copies of the grade 3 cover card. Inside, the trial deck will also contain a very informative instruction booklet, as well as a paper playmat showing all the zones and phases that are used during play. From there, you can start buying booster packs, or trading for cards you want, after selecting a deck you enjoy playing. If you're not sure of what deck to play, search around online, as there are plenty of deck lists out there for you to take a look at. The Cardfight Wikia is a great website to take a look at what cards are in which trial decks and booster sets, and can help you decide what cards you need. A link to the Wikia will be in the description below, so take a look if you're interested. If you have any further questions about deck building or what decks to play, feel free to message me and I'll do my best to answer them. So, thank you guys for watching part 2 of this How to Play series, and stay tuned for the next episode, where we start playing and learning the mechanics of the game. Until then, I'll see you next time.